Welcome everyone to German Tool Reviews. Today we have the Wiha 46790 30-piece hex and Torx workstation set. This is a new product from Wiha that includes a selection of drivers from their 3K ergonomic product line. The set is packaged with the inch, metric, and Torx drivers in 3 color-coded bags. The set includes the following driver sizes: Torx T6, T7, T8, T9, T10, T15, T20, T25, T27, and T30 in blue handles. In the red handles, we have the ball end hex metric sizes 1.5, 2.0, 2.5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 10 millimeter. In the yellow handles, we have the ball end hex inch sizes 5/64, 3/32, 7/64, 1/8, 9/64, 5/32, 3/16, 7/32, 1/4, and 5/16. There is also a 1/4 inch bit holder driver and a blue handle. The full list of items, including part numbers, please see the link in the description below to the full review. The set also comes with a sheet metal stand with holes for each of the items. With the paint, the thickness of the sheet metal comes out to around 90 thousandths, which means it is most likely 14 gauge steel. The stand is also stamped with the Wiha name and logo. All of the drivers come from the Wiha's relatively new 3K ergonomic product line. The handles are a cross between the Wiha Classic and soft finish drivers, with the black being a rubber-like material and the rest being a hard plastic. Each of the drivers are inked with their part number, driver type, and shaft length. The Torx drivers also came with a UPC on the opposite side. This writing will eventually disappear, as you can see right out of the box. Part of the ink on this Torx driver has already disappeared. The drivers are also embossed with Made in Germany on one side of the anti-roll feature, with the handle mold size on the other. The drivers fit into the stand by the collar, which is a universal size throughout all of these drivers. The stand is machined with a good enough tolerance to make it a nice fit. After populating the stand, I found that the 10mm driver was bottoming out on the bench surface. I'm guessing that this was not the designed intent. There are 2 other 200mm shafts in the set which fit fine, so let's see if we can figure out why this is happening on this shaft and not the others. The 200mm values should be measured from the bottom of the handle collar to the end of the tool. Here are the results of those 3 drivers. The 10mm driver came out at 204mm, the 8mm driver came out at 201mm, and the 5/16 driver came out at 199mm. Obviously, there are allowable manufacturing tolerances when making any kind of machine part. I could not find any published by Wiha for the shaft length, so let's just say it is 2%, because that is the worst case out of those I measured. If we take into account the depth of the collar at 6mm when inserted into the stand, then we would need a minimum of 210mm from the underside of the holder to the work surface. However, if we take a measurement, we get around 209mm. It was close, but we needed another millimeter. So one of 2 things probably happened here. Either the 10mm driver that I received is out of spec, or the engineer who designed the stand was not aware of the allowable tolerances of the 200mm driver. Nonetheless, it really isn't a big deal because I came up with a pretty easy fix. To solve this issue, I came up with a solution that also addresses another issue I had with the stand. I designed and 3D printed a couple of feet, 50mm in length, that will slip onto the edges of the stand to give it another 5mm clearance. This also has the dual purpose of not allowing the stand to scratch any delicate work surfaces. I released this design with a Creative Commons 4.0 license, and I will provide a link in the description below to the models if you want to 3D print your own. The profile design should provide enough spring that you won't need any adhesion when attached. After adding the feet, we had no more issue with the 10mm driver bottoming out. Back onto the drivers. The hex drivers use a tool steel induction hardened shaft. The ball ends allow you to drive the fastener at an angle. One thing to note is that all hex drivers less than 3mm use a 3mm shaft. This means you won't be able to get to those recessed set screws with these drivers. On the Torx drivers, only the tip is hardened tool steel. The rest of the shaft is chrome plated. One thing I ended up doing is adding labels to each of the slots because it can be hard to read the sizes since the ends of the drivers are not marked. I thought about stamping these with letter punches, but that would just ruin the painted finish, so I settled on using strip labels. This may be a bit pedantic, but the way I organize the hex drivers is by their actual size. That is, the smallest hex size to the largest. This makes sense when you can't figure out if a fastener is inch or metric, as you can just try the next size larger or smaller. The Torx drivers and the 1/4 inch bit holder I stored in the first 2 right columns in a similar order. Overall, I think this is a great bench set to have if you don't already have one. It does make easier for everyday repairs when you just need that one Torx or hex driver. Well, that wraps up the review of the Wiha 46790 hex and Torx workstation set. Check out the link in the description below to a full review including additional high-resolution photos not shown here. If you like this video, subscribe for more reviews of German brand tools.